Agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. It's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. You heard the man. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll be talking about Blake coming up in just a minute. Here's some contact information, though. First of all, you're going to hear a lot of information over the next 30 minutes that you're going to want to get more information about. How do you do that? You call Blake Sloan. Sloan Realty Group. Don't be confused. Sloan Realty Group. Pretty simple to remember, but if you didn't get it that time, we'll be repeating that contact info several times over the next 30 minutes. In the meantime, let's go bring him in for our brand new show. Here's Blake Sloan.
Good morning. We're going to awesome brand new show. I'm back in town. Actually had to go to California last week for a couple of days again, right? For the same thing. This time is a different capacity. Actually part of that program I've been with for a long time. It was part of becoming a certified trainer for that program, which is pretty interesting and pretty amazing. And it's very powerful. It got to change a lot of men's lives. We'll talk about kind of what that is. A lot of people ask me that question. What is it? What do you do? We talked about last time even about eating in the dumpster, the crazy stuff, and swimming out from the middle of the ocean. That's the most. I got the most questions about that. But we'll talk about what that is, and it allows us to liberate men in their life, their marriage. A lot of cool stuff that we've been able to do, and I'm super proud of that. And we'll talk about kind of what that was like as well. Also, as we got an awesome special guest in our studio, one of our top buyer experts on our team, Alex Prout. He's here. He's talking about what he's seeing right now in the marketplace. We've had some interesting things happen lately with interest rates, with buyers coming in town. We're coming to that heat, hot part of the market. So we'll talk about what's going on in that world so we can get some insight there. Also, we're going to dig deep into the market numbers so far this year. We have first quarter numbers, and we're going to stack up how we compare here locally versus obviously the national numbers, which is kind of interesting to see. We're also going to dig into the interest rates. We've got some crazy numbers. We're at a 4-year high right now with interest rates. So we'll talk about what that means for you all as home buyers, also home sellers, because we're seeing that obviously affect both sides of that in that aspect. And we're finally hopefully going to get to that top 20 tips for getting your home ready to sell. And the super cool, super easy things that like almost like swapping out your doormat, painting the front door, simple things I can show you that bring maximum ROI very, very easily as well.
All right. Well, a lot of stuff to get to, as you've heard. Well, here's the thing. If you've never tuned in before, the real estate whiz kid, that's what Blake has been called by industry leaders. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, other national publications. You've seen his face on TV, on NBC with Fox and Friends in the morning show. You hear the endorsements from Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Barbara Corcoran, Gary LeVox, and a whole lot more. Put those all together, it's just unprecedented in the real estate world. Now, trademark systems is what it's all about with Blake Sloan. He's got trademark systems to help both buyers and sellers, but there's one commonality between the systems, and there's one most important point that he wants to drive home each and every week to give you a little bit of tip as to what you need to do. What's the most important thing?
Absolutely. I made a promise to myself, just be an industry that I would make sure we talk about this every single time. We talk about every single client I meet with. Our team does the same exact thing because it's an epidemic in the industry, really, where everyone makes the mistake of thinking that real estate agents are the same, right? There's a commodity, which could not be further from the truth. Just like any doctor, lawyer, DJ, any of that stuff there, or morning host, whatever you want to call it, obviously it makes a big difference. And so the single most important variable that determines your failure or success as a home seller comes down to one thing only, right? That's the agent you choose and exactly how they execute from A to Z. Same thing in the buying process, the same exact thing comes down to actually how they execute. What people don't realize is this is their largest assets for most people, but they treat it like they're buying a TV at Best Buy. And so the fact is, in selling a house, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, guess what? It puts money in your pocket. It's like stacking the dominoes, right? There's a big gap between you and everyone else at the end if it's done right. Now, anything handled incorrectly or the domino does not fall, right? Guess what? That costs you money in the process, your hard-earned equity, or the property does not sell, which we see happen a lot of times. And so what most agents do, they just get a listing, they do the 3 Ps, right? They promise the world to get it. 2, they put it into the MLS, and then 3, they pray someone brings a buyer, and they go get the next listing. And so they spend most of their time hunting down the next listing instead of actually servicing what they got. And so what I did and what we did is we basically identified every single one of those variable points, right? Which is obviously how we know how many there are. We create a system that reverse engineers every single one and creates maximum leverage every single point. Like we talked about earlier, it's like stacking dominoes. And so there's a big gap between us and everyone else. So you have small increments over and over and over, make a big gap and give us and our client, obviously, the ultimate competitive advantage when they're selling. So it's called the guaranteed sold system, only proven system to sell them twice as fast and for up to 20% more money the traditional methods, and it works very, very well. The one analogy we use all the time is it's like running a marathon. Everyone can start out the same exact time. You finish it, right? Some are obviously 2-3 hours ahead of everyone else. It's the same exact process and system that we do to use small incremental advantages, obviously to our advantage for our client. The same thing on the buyer side, right? It's called the unfair advantage home buying system, and basically it's only proven system to priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best financing, absolute best negotiation, both in the purchase process, also in the home inspection process. And so you add all those up, gives you a huge, huge advantage when you're buying a property. And so those are things that we do on both those sides. And the one thing we talk about, that the average agent in our MLS sells less than 4 homes a year. And so that's scary. And so you want to make sure that you're using someone who actually knows what the heck they're doing, and two, has experience. We talk about all the time in our office that you wouldn't feel real comfortable, getting LASIK eye surgery from a doctor who's only done 4. But they'll go buy and sell a house all day, every day with somebody who's working part-time at Carolina Roadhouse. It's just one of those things that you see, and then they wonder why they left $10,000, $15,000 on the table. So those are the 2 most important things there. I will dig into those a little bit more, especially we'll talk about Alex in a few, kind of what he experienced in the industry as well.
All right, a lot of stuff to get to still. Remember, if you want to get in touch with Blake Sloan, you can give him a call at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Coming up in just a minute, we'll get a real estate update, see what's going on around the market here. And as Blake gave you a little bit of a tease earlier in the show, really interesting things as far as the mortgage rates are concerned. You need to hear those numbers. That's all coming next. This is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property in Myrtle Beach, the national marketing plan of the realtor that you choose is absolutely critical. Now, that's exactly why you need to talk to Blake Sloan at Sloan Realty Group. Now, Blake has a marketing system on a whole different level than anyone else in Myrtle Beach. That's so effective at capturing local buyers from around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it. While most agents rely on yard signs and open houses that attract the occasional buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month, which creates demand and helps your property sell fast and for top dollar. Now, that's why on average, Blake sells a property every single day of the year and is ranked among the top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. Now, working with Blake is risk-free. Now, if you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at blakesguarantee.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Coming up in just a second, interest rates, mortgage rates. We'll find out what's going on with that. Blake said it's something you need to know about. How about what's going on in the market right now, Blake? Anything interesting as far as the market update goes?
So it's very interesting right now at the moment, and there's obviously a million ways you can look at it and skin a cat, right? So you have month versus month, which is probably what what we usually do each month. We'll talk about the 12-month rolling average because there's some very interesting patterns there, and that will compare a little bit how we compare nationally to some of these as well. But so a quick recap for anyone that missed it is, so single-family resales is I think last March versus same month last year is almost flat, down 0.4%. If you remember, about 2 weeks ago, it was down 4%. And what that comes from, right? Agents putting sales in a little bit late, things like that, where they're usually behind and just kind of slack. And so ultimately, it's pretty good news. It's flat overall, which is good. Now, if you add in new construction, it's kind of all over the place. We'll talk about that in a second. But like if you look at new construction right now, last month, sales were down 8.6% in new construction. I always like to break them up because I want to make sure I'm looking at real data, right, in regards to making good decisions based on what I'm helping my client with. Looking at prices, though, here's the awesome news. If you look at last month for resale homes, up 11.8% last month alone, which is awesome news. Median price right now, $212,500, which is obviously really good for anyone where you're seeing a double-digit jump in 1 month versus same month last year, which is great. And the new construction price is up 2.4% at $239,495. So that's awesome news there as well. If you look at months of supply, which is kind of what's been the crazy number everybody's talked about, we're at 5.6 months of supply for resale homes right now, which is obviously below the 6-month threshold, which makes the seller's market. So it's a huge advantage for anyone that's a seller out there to make sure you take advantage of that. Now, this is kind of the wild card, which we talked about in the previous weeks, is interest rates. We're at basically a 4-year high right now. You want to play that along with our season here in Myrtle Beach, where people are coming in town buying right now. It's super hot. Alex talk about that in a second, what we're seeing from a buyer standpoint. But you want to take advantage of that. You don't wait till October when rates are much closer to 5%, and obviously there's less people in town. And so some of those people are getting forced off the fence, which is something to kind of keep in mind, which we'll talk about as well. Inventory for new construction is actually up 3.6%. That's the first time we've seen that up in a very long time there at 5.7 months of inventory. It's still below 6, which is great. That's obviously one of my biggest competitors right now is new construction, because obviously we have houses that somebody bought in 2008, 2009. They're building a similar product in the same neighborhood for less money. And so that's something that we're very good at. I've gotten very good at. A lot of other agents could not do in that aspect. So it's just something to kind of think about there as well. In the condos, it's interesting to look at condos. That's been kind of a crazy number there. If you take last month, I saw a 12.3% decrease in sales, which is interesting. We take new construction and resale condos down 17.2% overall, which is something to kind of watch there. You do tend to see the condo market soften a little earlier than the housing market for homes does, but that's just something that we kind of tend to watch there. Sales price as well was down 2% for median price. The first time we've seen that in a very, very long time. If y'all remember, not that long ago, we saw a 20% increase in sales in 1 month or the same month. So we're seeing that soften a little bit. You'll see people tend to back off, pull back on the throttle for second homes sometimes based on rates jumping up, whatever may be happening. But that's just something very interesting to watch there overall as well. Months of supply of condos down 5.2 months. So that's another part of that where we're seeing a challenge in sales down 22.4% from the same month last year, which is obviously a big indicator there. Now, here's what I want to get to, though. This is a very interesting number if you look at kind of what's the hottest parts of the market for the last 12 months. This is kind of shocking in a way. The hottest part of our market is anything $300,000 and above. And if you guys remember, we're in the Redneck Riviera here kind of. So, I mean, $300,000 is like a mansion, here for us, where a lot of people across the country aren't quite as much. And so we saw a 21% increase in sales from the $300,000 price range. Now, for our market, that's like kind of where they cap it out at high end. And so that's just something to kind of think about. So the hottest part of the market for our area right now is the highest high end. Like we put 2 $600,000 houses under contract just myself this week. And so that's just something to kind of think about. If you're in the high end, you've been thinking about it, you've been sitting in the market, you have not had the right marketing. Now's when the buyers are coming in. They're smart. We all know those buyers tend to wait for a while. They're more methodical when they purchase. They see rates going up. They want to take advantage of that. And you're also seeing move-up buyers who are moving from a 150 to a 300, a 200 to a 400, whatever it may be, up to those larger homes. The second hottest part of the market, check this out, is $200,001 to $300,000, up 19.6% of the 12-month rolling average over. So the two hottest parts of the market right now are the two highest, which is interesting to look at and think about there. Into the 150 to 200 range, looking at 9% increase. So you're looking at 10% higher jump in 200,000 above, which interesting numbers for our market, especially here as well. If you look at anything 100,000 to 150, you're looking at a 1.3% increase as well. And also we have anything 100,000 and below is actually flat because there's not that much out there as well. Really quick while I'm on the spot, we'll come back to it in a minute, but I want to bring Alex Proud in. Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Doing well.
So you're kind of seeing this all the time. What have you seen from the inventory standpoint in that 150 range, $200,000 range?
We're talking low inventory. I mean, buyers are absolutely optimistic right now. They're coming onto the market every single day. Listing inventory is a little bit on the lower side though, so it makes it very competitive.
And you're seeing what? You're seeing a lot of multiple offers come
Absolutely.
in. And so like anything in that price range, what we've really pretty much seen is prices kind of move up. So buyers come in, you'll see the 150, 200s out there. You'll see buyers kind of move the price ranges up. And ultimately you see it as a trend will move up in through a marketplace, right? And so that's just kind of what the availability is. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like you see tickets for sale. They start out lower price, they start going up. That's just what our inventory holds. The great news for us is people we see from up north are selling homes at 600,000 and 700,000. They're coming here buying 300,000, thinking it's an absolute steal.
Absolutely.
And so that's just something kind of overall there as well. And I want to come in back to that in a minute and kind of what you're seeing in overall in the market and kind of get a expert's point of view from the buy side. And just kind of what a lot of your buyers are seeing for both our home sellers out there and our buyers as well. The one thing that's driving this, I want to get to, I'll make sure we have enough time to come back, is mortgage rates, right? And Dave, you want to go ahead and jump to mortgage rates?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
So we're at the highest we've been in 4 years. So kind of makes me sick to my stomach a little bit. At the same time, there's something we talked about what happened for a very long time that we knew, right? So they pushed up higher again this week to hit that 4-year high. Right now, a 30-year fixed rate is at 4.64%, a 15-year fixed rate at 4.02%, a 30-year FHA right now at 4.45%, a jumbo loan 4.69%, and a 5-year adjust rate mortgage is 3.80. Now, on my chart I use every week, right? I have a chart on the right side that says, the 52-week high and the 52-week low.
Right.
Unfortunately, every single one of those is a 52-week high. Yeah. And so that's something to keep in mind if you're a home buyer out there. Guess what? Your buying power goes down. We talk about all the time the number one mismanaged variable in the home buying process is interest rate, right? Everyone focuses on just the price of the home, not interest rate. So it affects your buying power, what you can qualify for, obviously what your monthly payment is. So as a home seller, guess what? That hurts you as well because you got less buyers for your house based on the rates going up. And so it's important to know, obviously, that you can adjust based on that, and kind of what's happening. So that's just something to kind of look at overall. Obviously, the other side of that equation is there's a lot of optimism into the economy. Things that are happening. So you're seeing people that are feeling much better. Businesses are booming. And so there's double-edged sword there. Rates are still historically very, very, very low. But from a market standpoint, if you're a home seller listening to me, you've been listening to us for a while, you have not called me, you need to call me right now. Don't wait till Tuesday. Don't wait till Wednesday. Don't wait till Friday. Call me now. 843-808 sold, because it's important to get this on the kind of rolling here before we come into the full summer season. Everyone's stalking properties. We'll talk to Alex about that in a second. They're stalking, looking at properties over and over right now, and they're planning a trip down here to do something. Right. That's something to buy, right? And so you want to be there ahead of the game. They got the properties picked out before they come in town, and you want to have yours a part of that. And so anybody that that's a friend or relative that's thinking about selling, I need you to club them over the head and bring them to our real estate office. No, I'm kidding, but seriously, just need to make sure you tell them, right? Ultimately, that we definitely, want to take advantage of this seasonality for sure. If you want, I guess we'll take a quick break, come back to the hot buyers.
Is that you have to tell everybody you're kidding about that. Coming up in just a minute, we got some more great stuff coming your way. Your hot buyer alert is coming your way. Some great success stories. We'll hear more from Alex as well. That's Blake's special guest here today. We're talking about Blake Sloan. If you'd like to get in touch with Blake, easy to do. Call him at his office at Sloan Realty Group. That's Sloan Realty Group. 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. Call him first or go online to blakesloan.com. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Do you want your home sold on time and for the most money without all sorts of excuses? Hi, it's Glenn Beck. And when I had to sell my home, I went through several agents who all had good ideas, but the bottom line is they couldn't get the job done. Well, you have a celebrity in your own town. If I lived in Myrtle Beach, no question, I would call Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty.
About 10 minutes left.
Yeah, just under 10 minutes when we get back.
Around the U.S. and around the world, and week after week, he attracts hundreds of buyers, and that creates incredible demand. And that's why he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you'll agree to, or he's going to buy it. Plus, you don't really risk anything when you list with Blake, since if he doesn't live up to the contract, you walk away free and clear. It's really no wonder why Sean Hannity and I, along with real estate tycoon and Shark Tank star Barbara Corcoran, endorse Blake. Call Blake Sloan right now, 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or visit Blake's website, that's blakesguarantee.com, blakesguarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 or Sunday morning at 11:30, right here on WRNN.
Oh, there we go. I need to push the button first. Okay, we are ready now for the hot buyer alert. Blake and his team working with a huge amount of home buyers who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area between $150,000 to $3.5 million. What you need to do is, if you're interested in selling, contact Blake immediately at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD. And, what you need to do is you need to go ahead and give him a call. Now, how many people are online right now? Well, you need to check that out yourself. 46,118 active home buyers right now. That's what we have on Blake's website. That is a lot of people, Blake, who are looking right now for homes in the Myrtle Beach area.
It's huge, right? I think this is the one thing that blows everyone's mind when they come in and they see it. I show them face to face as a seller, and it's absolutely mind blowing, right? Because, and this time we'll talk about Alex in a second in regards to the lead flow. How many do we have? And I've told them before, hey, look, I'm not pulling my foot off the pedal. But ultimately, our business model gives a huge advantage because we have, 10 buyers agents all day long, every day. All they do is hunt, right? And so what happens is I obviously do the marketing. I've studied this game for a very long time. We drive massive traffic from all over. And so these are real people with username, passwords, accounts. And so they're searching continuously. And our job as a team is take them, obviously, serve them, help them, and sell them something, right? Well, obviously we want to match up buyers and sellers because that's what we're in business to do, is actually make money, right? And so our job is to actually match up buyer and seller, and that's where our team's good at. We'll talk about that in a second here. Like right now, right on the site, Ronnie Martin, he's on the site here, 233 visits. Gordon Stein, he's actually local from Long, South Carolina. We have Dick Mahan from Hickory, North Carolina. Mabel McGee from Madison, Alabama, and Jason Strope, I may have said that right, from Myrtle Beach here. Been on here 39 visits, fairly new. And Kareem Easton from Waccamaw, North Carolina. Been on the site 295 visits. Looked at 477 properties. And so these are real people, right? Our challenge is looking to find sellers to match these people up to. And that's our huge advantage we'll talk about in a second, where if I'm a single agent, spend $10,000 a month just driving traffic to online, I'm not going to be able to follow 46,000 people. I'm going to be overwhelmed with 300 people. And so our huge advantage here is we can outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. And so you want to talk about what's the most valuable thing you can do when you sell your house is you get more leverage, right? You get more traffic to it. You can take that classic Corvette you got, probably put it in front of Walmart and get it sold, right? But if you take the same classic Corvette, put every classic Corvette enthusiast magazine, every classic Corvette enthusiast website, guess what you're going to have? A lot more traffic and a lot, higher increase that somebody's going to come in and buy that property. It's the same exact thing, that car, it's the same exact thing we do with the houses, right? The more traffic we drive of qualified buyers, the more likely somebody's going to walk through and pull the trigger. And so that's what we're very, very good at in that regard. If you want, the bottom line here, if you're thinking about selling, you thought about it, someone thought about it, right? Reach out to me, 808 sold, call us and say, look, here's what we're thinking about doing. We'll walk you through it. There's no pressure, obviously. We have a massive amount of people that do call, but ultimately our job is to serve you and ultimately to match up buyers and sellers in that regard. And so real quick, before we get Alex on here, a couple really cool success stories I want to get to. A huge congratulations